Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today we're going to do a video specifically focusing on how to identify value in cards for this game. There's three ways that I see it, and I've already talked about two of them in previous videos, but quickly we'll touch on those, and then we're going to deep dive onto the last one that I haven't properly fully explained. So if that sounds interesting, like, subscribe, stick around. We do Splinterline content here 7 days a week, and I love the game. I think it's the only game out there of its kind that's going to be rewarding and fun. It's going to reward you for your time and attention that you put into it, and that can be very significant as time progresses. For me, it certainly has been, and I think the opportunities with this game have not ended. So if that sounds interesting, like I said, stick around. Stay tuned for more content like this. But let's get into the first two ways to identify value right after we test to see if the BattleNet is working. I don't think it is. All morning it has been down. Whoa. My phone is going off. Sorry, guys. I think it just died, actually. Anyways, see how I press battle, the window pops up, it closes. That's because the BattleNet the ranked system is still currently down, and that's, if you come over to the Discord, you can see that Agrod has been posting yesterday and today explaining that there was issues with the block times going over the route. He said we're seeing block processing times of about 3.5 seconds, while Hive blocks come every 3 seconds, so we're falling behind, and that's not permissible. I guess that's why they had to shut it down. And then they later explained they weren't sure. Something's wrong with the way we're processing blocks. We get them quickly from Hive, and then they're taking too long while being processed by our database. Our database is lightning fast and showing very low percentage CPU use, so there's something wrong, and we're processing things. We're working on it. Tech stack servers we have are more than adequate. There's basically a bug and we need to isolate it. Sorry for the inconvenience. That was yesterday at noon. And there's more details in here about what they've tried to do along the way to fix it. But if you want to read that, you should just go in here and read it for yourself. That's a Splinterland Discord, and there's lots of information there all the time, including thousands of people that'll answer questions if you're interested. But back to finding value. When I'm playing this game, when I'm constantly trying to climb to higher and higher ranks. One of the ways that I do that is I identify cards that beat me. If I find a battle where I get my ass kicked, and I'm going to show you an example here that happened earlier today. This was yesterday, and it was one of my guild battles. We're both rocking the same summoner. Watch what happens. This happened to me a long time ago, and it made me realize I identified value right then and there. Look at these teams. I'm on top. He's on bottom. I went with the Haunted Spirit as my tank because he's got that Magic Reflect and the Self Heal, a decent amount of hit points. And with this guy at the level 4, he doesn't have Void, but because of this summoner, he's going to have Void. And in case you're wondering, this battle is restricted to silver, so that's why my high level, I have a maxed out Haunted Spirit, but it's only letting me play with level 4 because of the brawl requirements. So I put that in thinking it's going to give me it's going to leave some mana points to put on my back end. I thought about playing my Lord of Darkness like he did, but I didn't. And watch what happens. A long time ago, the Haunted Spirit was my only tank on this team, and I it's a great card. In so many ways, it wins, especially on like gold levels. But when it comes up against this tank, it's not even a good meat shield. So this is hands down a better tank than that one. Look, the Lord of Darkness just deleted my 2 main damage dealers / tanks that I had on my team by himself. That card is so much better than the Haunted Spirit, and it's only 2 mana more. Yes, it's super expensive, and it's legendary, so you can't always play it. Plus, being 7 mana, sometimes you really do want to play the Haunted Spirit, maybe not that card. But on the whole, it's such a better card that when I started losing to that card in these contexts where I was like, I'm rocking the Haunted Spirit, it's a good deck. I've got a good team in front of me, but that thing just ate me. Then I knew that had a value beyond what I understood, and I knew I needed to have it. So that's the first way of identifying value. When a card beats you, if you can't beat them, join them. So if a card beats you, I like to find it and buy it if I can. That's the first way to identify value. The second way to identify value would be to come into your, no, we'll go to Marketplace, is to identify cards that are similar to one another and that offer the same service or the same, opportunities. Lord Arianthus, we talked about it before, but briefly, we'll talk about it here so it's all in one video. The Lord Arianthus is a legendary monster card with Shield, Void, Magic Reflect, and Thorns. It's an amazing tank because it has high hit points, it has a low cost, and it has all these abilities. So it's going to reduce magic damage, it's going to reflect magic damage, it's going to do Thorn damage to attackers. It has Shield, so it has reduced damage from melee and ranged. It's an excellent card. But as you can see, to get a maxed out copy, you're talking over $1,000, not $100 per unit. Conversely, if we just quickly go back to another window so we can compare and contrast, we go over to the market again, close, and we go into neutral monsters, and we go into, I think it's Epic. Yes, Epic. We look at the Onyx Sentinel. They're selling this one. You need 46 copies to be maxed out. 46. And if you get a maxed out copy, you're going to have Shield. So does the Lord Arianthus. You're going to have Void. Same as the Lord Arianthus. Thorns. Same. And Return Fire. Different, but cool. The other one, the Lord Arianthus, had Magic Reflect. This one has Return Fire, which is archery damage reflection. And it has 8 hit points, while the Lord Arianthus has 9. So this is 1 point of hit points worse than the other card. Now, yes, I'd like to have that other hit point. So I will agree that this card is better. But when we say this card costs $1,100 to max out, and then we say this card costs, you need 46 of them. Okay. Call it $6 a unit. 6 times 46, $270. Would you say that 1 hit point is worth $800 US? That's identifying value. That's finding a card that mimics the abilities and strengths of another card, but offers you it for a discount rate. People who are seeing this video, if this is news to you, try and get Onyx Sentinels while you can. If you have a Lord Arianthus, why don't you sell it? Sell it for $1,100 and come in here and buy yourself one of these, and you'll have money left over, right? You'll have $800 left over. What are you going to do with that? You could buy a used car. So, or you can roll it over into these assets. That's what I do. When I sell, I used to have a Lord Arianthus. I sold it. I took the profits and I bought a maxed out copy of this guy, and then I also reinvested in other cards and packs, which have all appreciated over time, right? So that's number 2 way to identify value. And the rest of the video is going to be spent on the third way that needs lots of visual explanations. So what we do is when we're finding value, we come into the marketplace. I like to use Peak Monsters, but you could easily use Splinterlands. Sometimes I use both, and I'll show you why later. But we just come in and I like to organize by the top. I search from alpha. So then I'll explore alpha, and when I'm done, I'll do beta. And if I don't find any deals yet, promo, and all the way down the line until I feel satisfied that I've fully explored what is available today. I always start with the older cards first because there's more copies on the market. When you get into some of these dice or even Untamed cards, you find that there aren't a lot of maxed out copies being sold. Maybe that's because Well, I don't know why that would be, but that's just what I find. So then I just come in and I just click on the first card. This is the cheapest card out there, Haunted Spider for the alpha. And I'm looking to see, are there several copies that are max level 10? No. So that's that by itself tells me that I'm probably not going to trade on this card today. But if they're, then I'll just close it because there aren't. We go into here. Look, there are 2 copies of a maxed out Silver Shield Knight, but that's great. So then I look closer. They're both the same price. If one was half, if this was $1 and this was $2, that might be finding value right there, because you could say that the price is $2 a unit, and this guy's going ahead and just liquidating. If he was $1 a unit, that would be a way to find value. But no, it's not. So we're moving on. The Goblin Shaman, there's 4 copies all maxed out. Again, this one's only slightly cheaper than this one. No thanks. Same deal. No thanks. Spineback Wolf. Nope. This one, I happen to know that there's going to be some decent considerations in here because I looked earlier. So we'll talk about this. Look at this. There's 3 copies maxed out. One sold for $2.95. One sold for $2.63. That's not a big enough discount, but let's keep looking because there's more. There's something else here that we're looking at. So we have a floor. These guys established the floor price of this card. $2.63 per BCX is the floor, in my opinion, for this card maxed out. Now this card is going to, who's that card going to appeal to? This card is going to appeal to, first, somebody with $1,000, and second, to somebody who needs a maxed out copy of an Alpha Skeleton Assassin. If you had 229 BCX of this card, a level 9, are you going to come in and buy this card? Probably not. Not for your own play, right? You would come in and you would buy 150 copies. You would look to buy something like this, 150 copies, 130 copies, and then merge the two, so you get almost close to a maxed out copy, and you're only putting in $300 instead of $1,000. So this copy is going to appeal to more people, to more buyers than this copy. I hope that's self-evident. I don't want to go too much deeper on that. But fewer BCX are appeal to more buyers than maxed out BCX, okay? So this card, therefore, has more potential buyers. Why is it then that it is priced cheaper than this card? It shouldn't be. That's an error, in my opinion. It's actually one of 2 things. It's either Pizza Chain, who is the seller, is desperate to sell it, so has listed it in as competitive a manner as possible, or 2, he just made a mistake. Pizza Chain, if you're watching this video, not trying to rag on you, bud, maybe leave me a comment. Were you just trying to liquidate this? What I find, this happens a lot, and I assume it happens because people list on Splinterlands, which gives you different data than Peak Monsters. So one of the reasons why I use Peak Monsters for buying and selling monster cards is because I get to see. Let me slow down. When I see this, I then calculate, okay, this is a better deal. This is a better card than this card because it'll sell to more people. So if I was to buy it for $250, what could I sell it for? Look at this card down here. It's got 17 copies, which is more liquid than the one I'm thinking about buying, but it's selling for $4. So maybe I could buy this one and I could sell it for $4 a BCX. That would be a profit. We would be selling it for $1 times 4. We would be buying it for $3.21 and we'd be selling it for $5.16. But then you have to pay a 5% fee to the website. So you times it by 0.95. So we'd get $4.90 in the end, and we subtract our initial investment. So you'd get $169 profit if it's sold at that price. Worth considering, but this guy here is going to make it hard for you to sell because anyone looking for just a few BCX is going to buy him before he buys you if you're priced at the same price point, right? If you're both at $4 and they only need 17, they're going to buy him, not you. So I don't like this one. I'm not going to buy this one. I don't have enough money for that, frankly, but it's almost a great deal because it's cheaper than the floor and it's not maxed out. That's how we find value. But let's look closer at this one. 17 BCX, $4 a unit. Look at what 1 goes for, $12 a unit. Look what 5 goes for, $10 a unit. This guy is probably really underpriced. For 68 bucks, this is maybe a buy. He's selling it for $4 a unit, probably because this guy sold it for $4.20 a unit. But I would argue this is way more liquid than this. So if I don't want to, because I don't love, sometimes there's too many cards being listed that are going to be your competitor, and I don't like that. This guy's going to be a competitor. This guy's going to be a competitor. This guy's going to be a competitor. But if I had enough money, 400 bucks, I might buy both of these and list them both for $8 a unit. Then I would be selling it at double the price for both of them. I'd be selling this $300 card for $600, this $70 card for $140. I would be more competitively priced than this guy. I'd be worse than this guy, but my cards are perhaps more desirable because they have fewer BCX. That's what I do to identify value. That's it in a nutshell. I'm comparing the cost per BCX from the ones that are being sold at less than the floor. I'm really paying attention to those ones. But then I'm also looking at ones that are perhaps really comparable to an individual unit and yet being sold for significantly less. This card is going to appeal to a lot of buyers. And so it probably deserves to be sold for $7 or $8 a unit. I'm not going to buy it today, but that's the type of thing we do when we're looking for value. And there's another example in here I'll show you. I found it earlier, the Magic Sphinx. This all took me about 20 minutes of searching, by the way, like that, looking at that, all the stuff we found with the Assassin, and now with the Sphinx. Look at this guy. We have a floor. We have 4 different units being sold with max BCX, 26, 26, 28, 35. So the floor is $26. And then we have this guy over here with 13 BCX being sold for less than the floor. Why is this card that is more liquid being sold for less money per BCX than these maxed out copies? Again, just like I said to Pizza Chain, I think 3J, there's only 2 explanations. Either 3J is desperate to sell this thing, or 2, he actually made a mistake. Now, how could you make a mistake in pricing these things? Let's go over to Splinterlands. Here it is, Splinterlands, and we're going to see these are my cards. This is an Alpha Kobold Miner that I own. Look, it's level 4. It has 9 BCX, and they're telling me that I should sell it for 30 bucks. 30 bucks. 30.67 divided by 9 equals, so they're telling me I should sell for $3.40 per BCX. Let's go back to Peak Monsters over here. No, over here. And let's see how that would compare. As you can see, I've pulled up the Alpha Kobold Miner to see what the marketplace and Peak Monsters shows us. They have different data here, and it's going to be really helpful. They told me I should sell it for $3.40 per BCX. That puts me right in line with the cheapest card on the market. Okay, so they're helping me price my card really competitively. However, if we look close, sorry guys, if we look close, that card has 300, and that's a maxed out card. So this card, which appeals to only the buyers who want a maxed out copy, is not comparable to my card that it has 9 copies. My card is going to be far more liquid and therefore should sell for much higher a price. So Splinterlands is actually recommending me the cheapest price to be the most affordable, which will hopefully sell quickly. But when there is a lack of liquidity in the marketplace, as is the case with these cards, there are only 41 cards available. Due to the lack of liquidity, the Splinterlands recommendation is wildly incorrect. Let's look how incorrect. They said I should sell it for 30 bucks. If I go down and I look at the other cards available here, I can see that one BCX goes for 10 bucks, 950. You can see I have two cards listed here, 19 and 22 BCX respectively, being sold for roughly $5 a unit. This guy's selling his 27 for $4 a unit. So if I sold it for 340, I'm going to be undercutting this guy by like 20% or something, a significant amount. Really, what I should do if I'm super eager to sell it is sell it for like slightly less than this guy. And I would argue that's a bad idea too. I think this guy's selling his card for too cheap. I think I'm selling my cards for too cheap, but I got these for like $1 and $2 per unit, so I'm willing to list it for that and just wait until it sells. I would sell if I was selling my 9 BCX. I would list it right now for $8 a unit. 9 times 8, 72. They told me I should sell it for 30. I'm saying it should be sold for 72. In order to calculate, or how did I get to the 72? I came in here, I looked at what the market was showing me, right? One BCX goes for 10 bucks. Yes, one BCX is better and more liquid than my 9, but only marginally. And so I could probably list it for 950. But to try and be really desirable, I would list it on this board with these competitors. I would list it for $8 a unit. And it wouldn't sell it right away. It would take a few weeks, maybe, who knows, maybe a couple months. But it's going to sell for $8 a unit. And so Splinterlands is just wrong. But I bet Pizza, whatever that guy's name was, Pizza something, and the other guy, 3J, they're probably just relying on the data that's being told to them by Splinterlands. And that's a shame because this is definitely underpriced. It could be sold, it could be bought today for $287 and sold for something like this. Like, look at this guy. That's a comparable, right? 11 versus 13. This one's being sold for $22 a unit. This one's being sold for $36 a unit. That's a 50% increase in the price. You could buy this today and sell it for probably $500. Nope, not $500. 13 times 30, call it 35. He's selling it for 36, so let's call ours 35 a unit. You could sell it for $455 right now. Not right now, but you could list it for $455, and that'd be a competitive price. That is $150, $175 more than the asking price. So this is the third way that we identify value when we're looking at these cards on the marketplace. And it happens all the time. Every day there's cards in here that I can't afford. Like, I don't have 287 right now to buy it. I only have 186. But if you did, this would be a great card to buy. Or that Assassin that we showed. That's another good card. Maybe this one. Maybe this one. And price them competitively. Don't undercut yourself. Don't be too eager. Price them in a way that it might take a while to sell, and you're going to see the bigger profits. But be patient with it, like I've always said with this. And then the Cobalt Miner, like I said, there's no cheap buys in here right now. Really, these are just properly priced, probably. But when you're using Splinterlands to list, be cognizant that their estimated value is bogus. Like, often it's unreliable, and that comes down to the fact that there's just not enough liquidity available in this system, and so the pricing is really variable. Like, look at this. One unit costs $10, but all the way down here, one unit costs $15. That's a huge difference. Because there's such little liquidity, the price can escalate rapidly. So don't trust the Splinterlands estimated value. That's why I like using Peak Monsters, among other reasons. I hope that's helpful to you guys. And those are the three reasons, or the three manners and approaches that I use to finding value in this game with these cards. And I think if you're utilizing those techniques, you're going to be able to identify new cards that are going to be really powerful in the future and that are going to go up in value in the future, because you're watching the meta closely. When you get beat by that card, take notice of that and say, why did I lose to that? And then maybe come shopping for them, but look for deals in the manner that we've described here, right? And then also, if there are cards that are super similar in utility and ability, go for the cheaper one. Save yourself $800. Thanks, guys. That's all for now. Have an amazing day.